All right, if you're a general contractor, you're going to want to see this. We are about to tackle one of the biggest and yet quietest profit leaks in your entire business. I'm talking about all that money you're just leaving on the table from unbilled change orders. So let's dive right in and actually build a system to make sure every single bit of work you do, you get paid for.
Okay, let's just start with a number. And this one, it might actually shock you a little. $47,000. Yeah, that's what the data shows the average general contractor loses every single year, all from unbilled work. And look, this isn't just some rounding error, right? For a lot of folks, that's literally the difference between struggling to make payroll and having a thriving business. We call this the silent profit killer for a reason. It doesn't make a sound, it just kind of creeps into your projects through dozens of these small, seemingly harmless changes that, one by one, just absolutely drain your margins. Let's look at a classic example of how this thing operates. I bet this quote feels incredibly familiar. Just picture it. You're on the Maple Street kitchen remodel. The homeowner comes up and asks, "Hey, while you're at it, can we move this outlet a few feet over?" And you say yes, of course you do. Your team gets it done, but then, in the total chaos of the project, that simple verbal yes never actually turns into a line item on an invoice. It just evaporates. In that gap, the space between the work getting done in the field and the billing happening back at the office, that is the exact problem we're talking about. It actually has a name, the change order revenue leak. And by giving it a name, we can start to understand it, we can track it, and most importantly, we can plug that leak for good. So, how does this actually happen? I mean, really, it's not about anyone having bad intentions. It's almost always about a broken process. Let's really dissect where the communication breaks down and how those dollars just seem to disappear into thin air. So let's go back to that Maple Street project for a second. It all starts so innocently, right? A quick yes to some under-cabinet lighting. Then, oh, can we extend the backsplash? Sure. But then, your crew finds subfloor rot. That has to be fixed. And because you moved that outlet, now the whole electrical panel needs an upgrade. See how it happens? Each one feels like a small thing in the moment. But on this one single job, that's $4,200 in work you did but never got paid for. And here's where it really hurts. That $4,200 wasn't just a number. On that particular project, it represented an 8.8% loss of the entire profit margin from the original contract. That is a direct hit to your bottom line, all because your process just couldn't keep up with the work being done. When you look at the process laid out like this, you can pinpoint the exact moment it all goes wrong. It's that jump between step 2 and step 3. The second your team does work without a formal change order, the odds of you getting paid for it just plummet. The office is completely blind to it, the final invoice goes out with only the original contract info, and that revenue is just gone. Forever. Now, let's zoom out from just one job to an entire year. For a real company, we'll call them ABC Construction, this wasn't just a few $1,000s here and there. Their informal, we'll remember it later system was leaking over $94,000 a year. That's work they did, materials they bought, and people they paid for things they simply never invoiced. It's crazy. Okay, so we've definitely seen the problem. Now, let's talk about the solution. We're going to create what I call an automated safety net, a system that completely shifts your business from messy manual tracking to clean, real-time revenue capture. I mean, the difference between the old way and the new way is truly night and day. The old way is basically running on hope. You hope you remember that scribbled note on a coffee cup. You hope the office gets the message. But the new way, it relies on a system. A simple text message from the field kicks off this whole cascade of automated events that guarantees the work gets documented, it gets approved, and it gets billed every single time. So how does this magic actually work? Well, at its core, you've got an AI that's constantly auditing your books for you. It's looking for patterns that a human might easily miss. A subcontractor's bill that's a little higher than the budget, a purchase order for materials that weren't in the original scope. It flags all these little discrepancies as potential unbilled work. It's like having a superpowered bookkeeper on your team 24/7. And here's what that new workflow actually looks like. It starts with a simple text from your supervisor on site. That text instantly gets documented and creates a formal change order. The client can approve it digitally right on their phone. That approval automatically authorizes the work and, at the same time, it triggers the billing in Quickbooks. No more gaps, no more delays, no more forgotten work. It's that simple. So, What really happens when you put a system like this in place? Well, that whole change order process transforms from being a profit leak into a profit engine. Let's look at the real world results for our example company, ABC Construction. Just look at this. It's incredible. Before, ABC Construction was only formally documenting about 40% of their actual change orders. That means more than half of them were just verbal agreements floating around. After they put the system in, that capture rate shot up to 94%. They literally stopped the leak right at the source. And here is the real payoff. In just the first 90 days, their billing rate for these changes hit 98%. Their admin team got 10 hours back every single week. Just think about what you could do with that time. And client disputes, they dropped by 80%, all because everything was approved upfront in writing. The projected annual recovery from just this found money was over $100,000. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. I absolutely love this quote from Tom, the owner. He said they found 27 grand in the first 90 days. And he pointed out this wasn't from landing new business. This was money for work they had already done that they simply would have never collected otherwise. The system paid for itself in the first week. So when you add it all up, all that recovered revenue, the labor savings from way less admin time, the money saved from fewer client disputes, the total annual impact for this one company was over $143,000. That's a game changer. And that really brings us to the final and most important question. The work is already done. The value has been delivered. The materials have been purchased. Your people have been paid. So why aren't you getting paid for it?